Alright, today I want to talk about a really important check that you need to do if you have a 2004 to 2008 R1 and also the FZ1. I think the FZ1 goes up to 2012. And what the check is that you need to do is you need to check the stator bell housing or the cover. There are two types of bell housings. There was the original one and there was the updated one. So I'm going to tell you the check that you need to do, as well as some important information after you do the check, because some serious stuff can happen while you're doing the check. So I'm going to cover all of that as well. I'm not going to give you a full video on how to do a complete disassembly and checking, but I'm going to link two videos. I think you should have a look at those videos. They give a very good coverage on how to actually do the work, and I'll link that in the description. So what the check is I've already got this removed, but you need to remove the stator. So here, this is the stator here, so I've already removed it. This is the updated one. You need to check that there is like this cover here and there are no exposed magnets. The original one didn't have this cover and all the magnets were exposed. You could see like lines of magnets all the way across, and the problem with that, what used to happen was the magnets would break off. They were just glued on, epoxied on, and they would break off over time. Maybe 20,000 kilometers, 30,000 kilometers or more. And if they would break off, they would just, it'll be like a bomb going off. It'll be like a grenade. And all the parts will just go everywhere, including straight down into your engine. And it could completely blow your engine. There is a chance of that happening. So I've checked mine, and it does have this cylinder thing here. I can't see the exposed magnets. So either the bike came already with this originally, or someone has changed it down the line. So the issues that can happen when you're doing this check is, because it's all magnetic, as you're pulling off this stator, because it's magnetic, this bell housing comes off with it. The problem with that is there are parts behind it, and I won't take this one off, but there are parts behind it like washers and even the cash rubbers, that as you're pulling this off, because it's magnetic and there's a bit of like a pull to it, they can sort of come off, get dislodged, and go straight down into the engine. Now when I was doing it, I had both two of the cash washers drivers were broken, and one piece went straight down into the engine. And I also noticed that there was supposed to be a washer, which I didn't see, and lucky I watched those videos in the description, which was telling me to look for these parts. All the parts need to be there. If they're not there, they've probably gone down into the engine. I realized there were parts missing, the rubber and the washer, and then when I looked down into my engine, I could see the rubber down in there. And what I ended up doing was taking off the oil pan, and I did actually find the washer was in the oil pan. So in this video, I'm going to give you a brief explanation on the best way to take off the oil pan as well, because you might want to do it for various other reasons other than those bits falling into there. Also, when you're putting this bell housing back on, you need to make sure the gears, there are two gears, there's one for the flywheel, another for the starter. You need to make sure they're aligned or this won't go in. So the second part is how to remove the oil pan. So a lot of people saying, you need to drop the exhaust, and a lot of people don't want to drop the exhaust because they think they have to remove the radiator. But you don't actually have to remove the radiator. You can drop the exhaust without removing it. You just have to take off one bolt here. You're going to take off the bolt from the header, all the 8 bolts from the header. you got to remove, you know, the X-up valve from here. I just left it attached to the exhaust. So there's this bolt here. There's these two here. You got to do both of them because there's this bracket here that's in the way, which when you want to put the pan back on, don't forget this O2 sensor, because you know there's not much free play here. You just got to undo it. To undo the muffler, there's these bolts here on each side. So you got to actually take this back fairing off as well. Of course, for the muffler, there's the brackets here, one on each side. I removed this oil thingy, sensor thingy, and then I removed this one. You can see my exhaust is sort of, I just kind of removed the mounting so that the exhaust can have a bit of free play, and then I just pulled the exhaust down, and then all you got to do is then remove all the bolts for the pan. And I bought, you gotta buy a replacement washer for the stator, and the pan one is optional, but I ended up just buying it anyway. It wasn't that expensive. It was pretty old, and that's it. So that's how you do this check.